Good evening and welcome. You're watching Breaking Views with me, Sanket Upadhyay, the only show where we get you all the views so that you get the complete picture. Now, something extremely strange and for the first time at this scale and this level of complexity is happening in this country. Two towers, two buildings taller than the Qutub Minar are going to be brought to the ground in 9 seconds flat. But the only problem and what increases the difficulty level is that these twin towers in Noida, which is very close to Delhi, is 10 meters away from another apartment complex. So let's first explain what this is. So we'll begin with the facts of this demolition exercise. So the twin towers are going to collapse in 9 seconds. The facts are as follows. Supertech twin towers will be demolished on the 28th of August. This is going to happen at 2:30 p.m. on a Sunday. The 40-story towers are located in sector 93A of Noida. They are taller than the Qutub Minar at 100 meters. The towers will be demolished using explosives, and in these pictures you can see the draping around the building. Inside, the explosives have been fed. Now, why is this happening? Because the top court, the Supreme Court, directed Supertech to demolish these towers. Exclusion zones all around the towers have been formed. Adjacent residential buildings are just 10 meters away. Imagine 10 meters. So this building was in violation of many norms, and the reason why they've been demolished on your screen right now. Illegal construction. In 2014, the Allahabad High Court ordered its demolition because the residents complained that where this building has come up, that place was supposed to be a children's park. And because of the collusion between authorities and this builder, he was able to erect these towers at a place where a park was supposed to be situated. Now in 2021, the Supreme Court directed Supertech to demolish these towers, remove them. And since then, understanding the complexity, imagine 10 meters away from an existing building. And once a building like this will come crashing down, it could immediately have an impact on nearby areas. So thus, there is a science behind the demolition. 3,700 kilograms of explosives are going to be used. These explosives are planted in 10,000 holes. In all through this building, these buildings, small holes have been created where explosives have been planted so that there is a synchronized blast that takes place. It's a controlled explosion that is going to take place, not a free fall. And in just a short moment, we'll explain what that means. Now, post the demolition, 30,000 tons, approximately, 30,000 tons of debris is expected. It will all come crashing down in a very contained manner. Now, what is the plan on your screen right now? The Greater Noida Expressway is going to remain closed between 2:15 and 2:45. The area in and around 400 meters of the twin towers will remain completely sealed. Nobody is going to be allowed. No plane will pass over Noida between 2:30 and 3. Special arrangements have been made to deal with any untoward incident. For instance, keeping the hospitals nearby on standby, so that in case something happens, people can immediately be rushed. So on the show tonight, gone in 9 seconds, India's most complex demolition explained. I'm happy to introduce at this moment the two people under whose guidance this is going to happen. Mayur Mehta is a project manager of the demolition of Supertech Twin Towers, and Utkarsh Mehta is a partner of Edifice Engineering. Thank you very much to the two of you for joining us. Preeti is a resident of Supertech Emerald Court. This is the society which is 10 meters away. We also have Uday Bhan Teotia. He's the president of the RWA of the Emerald Supertech Twin Towers. And Aarti Coppola is a member of the Emerald Court Resident Welfare Association. Your flats, some of your flats are very close to this, this tower. I want to start by first asking a question of Mr. Mayur Mehta. Mr. Mehta, why is this the most complex exercise that has ever been undertaken in this country?
I would prefer to answer this if I can.
Yeah, sure, Mr. Utkarsh.
Yeah. See, it is complex. It's day one when we saw this site. That was way back in October. And we had two major challenges to tackle. One is, as rightly said, almost 10 meters away, we have Aster 2, which is the closest of all. And then at almost 16 odd meters from the face of the tower, we have a gas pipeline, which is from Gale, which is running below ground, almost 4 meters below ground. So we saw these two challenges in terms of getting the structure down in the precise manner, in the engineering manner, which you rightly said some time back, that this is not a free fall. It's a planned fall, a controlled demolition, which we call it. And that's the reason why this demolition gets complex. When we say complex, 10,000 holes, it's not a joke to drill. When we say 10,000 holes, we've drilled almost 18 to 20 kilometers. The cloth, what you see, the white and black, we've ordered almost 120 kilometers of cloth to be draped of various thicknesses. Almost 400 people were working day in, day out and bothering the RWAs to get this preparation in place. These were all our challenges and the complexity of the project. And
I just want to ask you this question, Mayurji, maybe if you can answer, and before that, maybe our producers can cue up that picture from Kochi, where a demolition took place. Let's see if we have those pictures from Kochi. A few years ago, demolition took place where we saw a building collapse. As you can see, this is from the 11th of January 2020, where a building has collapsed. It has collapsed inwards. It has not leaned to the either side, but we have seen, see, it's going down. But in China, for instance, we saw earlier that the buildings would sway on one side while coming down. Now that is something, in Kochi it could have happened, Mayurji. Look at this building, it swayed a little to the left and then came down. But that is acceptable in Kochi because there is no construction nearby. Here there are towers just 10 meters away. So the building can't sway left or right, it has to go down. Mayurji.
This is the system and this is the methodology which we are adopting. Here also we are trying to pull the buildings towards the west side, because on the back side of the big building apex there is a 9 meter one Aster 2 tower of super court emerald court is there. So this is the design what we have made, and this is the plan. Accordingly only the building has fallen in Kerala, and the same waterfall effect and implosion we are going to conduct here in Noida Tindra.
Oh, so this is called the waterfall effect, that like a waterfall it comes down. Okay, okay.
Exactly.
But then what is the possibility of it swaying? What if the building, we've seen this in China. I remember Utkarshji in a program yesterday was telling me that in China we saw that when buildings were demolished, they were coming down like a waterfall, but then I don't know what the reason was, they swayed towards some to the left, some to the right.
Yeah,
and how have you controlled that over here?
Correct. China, whatever buildings, they were all, I don't know, it was illegal or what was the reason for demolition. But then there are lot of space. Now, when we say controlled, in China, what you saw was uncontrolled demolition, where you have enough of space. Here we are doing a controlled demolition, and please don't take it as it is swaying on one side. It was particularly designed to sway it on one side.
Okay.
It was not that it came down on one. See, now this building which you saw now, it goes straight down, because here we did not have any option of swaying it, because there was one side we had water body, the other side we had a building.
Correct.
Which is almost taller than that.
Correct.
So and there was a small school in front of this. Here, you see, this is called as a waterfall implosion. The first point which impacts the ground and the last point which impacts the ground, there is a difference of seconds. Similarly, we are going to see this in the twin towers as well, where there will be a gap of almost 5 seconds in the first point hitting the ground and the last point hitting the ground. That's purely from their intention that we want to reduce the vibrations caused by the impact. So this has been designed in such a fashion.
Interesting.
And we've deployed delayed detonators to do this specifically. I could have done it as a play of cards. It could have stabbed one on the other. But here we are particularly precisely doing this. We want it to come in this fashion, and we're little pulling it over towards the road side, that's the west, or little towards the ATA side. And we want to make it sure that we fall within the gas pipeline and the 9-meter driveway.
Correct.
So
correct.
we are right in the premises of the Twin Tower.
I mean, it's a very, very difficult task. I believe you took 8 months to study the feasibility and to work out how exactly this needs to be done. Drilling of holes, planting of explosives, synchronized explosions that will take place all through the building. This is a daunting task, I must say, but you are undertaking it. Let's listen from the residents also. Uday Bhan Teotia is the president of the RWA of the building, which is right next to, 10 meters away from these twin towers. Uday Bhanji, number one, what was the reason why many of you residents moved court? And number two, does this fear exist that something may happen to the buildings nearby? After all, they're just 10 meters away. And in a feasibility study of the pillars of your society, it was found that those pillars are also a little weak.
Yes, you are right. Why we had gone to the court is definitely a big question. When we came to the society in 2010, we saw that there was no facilities which were promised given to us. Over and above, these 2 towers were being built, whereas this area was marked for children's park, a small commercial place, and only 23 flats. When we came, then the digging was on, and it was expected that it is going to be big towers. When we asked the Noida Authority or the Supertech, they said this is a separate plot, separate project, and as such you people have nothing to do with it. When we found out it was not so. So therefore we went from one corner to another corners and must have made at least 50 visits to Noida Authority and Supertech, but they were giving all wrong news. When we asked for the layout plan, they refused to give us. And after having seen all these things, then we thought that in case we do not stop it, then it will be a Gita colony. They had promised that this society will be an elite society having the lowest flat of area 1750 meters square feet. Whereas once these are allowed, it will certainly 950 flats would have come up, and the facilities and the area which was available would have been. I mean, you can say we would have lived like a conjure in the society.
Correct.
Then we decided. Actually, I was one of those persons who has had. From the very beginning, from 2011 onwards, I have been in RWA, and I had filed the case in Allahabad High Court and fought the case for 10 years now.
No, you fought the case and you fought it hard. I mean, this is not hidden from anyone. It's been a long legal battle, and you won that legal battle. But you see, this explosion may also, I'm sure there is an element of doubt in the minds of the residents as to what is going to happen. Though absolute experts are carrying out this exercise. But Aarti Kopula, can I know from you, what are you going to do on Sunday? Where are you going to be? Because, you know, the flats have been vacated.
Yes, we are vacating, and the residents, some of them are leaving just to say, because 7 a.m. they have given a deadline. So we're trying to vacate even earlier so that there is not a rush or a jam right in the morning. So the thing is that people have to switch off fridges and electricity. So people had to start finishing their products which they usually keep in fridge also. And we have.
It's almost like a one-day migration where you have to literally uproot yourself for a day.
Yeah, exactly. And we have some support from our neighboring societies also, because everybody can't go to some relative or some places.
So people are opening up their houses, is it?
Yeah, they have given us our clubhouses and they've arranged food for us. They have given us up to 8 p.m. that we can
Fantastic.
stay in their societies, because we don't know what the condition will be when we are back. The problem will be massive post demolition, because there will be huge amount of dust. And today we had a meeting with Noida Authority. We tried, they have given us an option that they will help us in cleaning our green as well as our house areas, because we expect that the entire towers will be full of dust, and we will be handling that dust for almost, I think, more than a week post demolition. So we have been the major sufferers as residents, because we have been, this edifice has been working and drilling holes and all that, and all the residents in that vicinity has been suffering for years while they were constructing. Now they are demolishing also. It's been 6 months. And now when they pick up that garbage also, which is some 30,000 ton of, the C&D waste, that will take another some time to pick up from there. So overall, it's the residents who have suffered because of this massive thing that came up due to corruption.
I can imagine. But you see, with these clothes that have draped the buildings, and they are this fabric is a kind which will not allow dust to enter the homes. The best possible effort, so say Mr. Mayur as well as Utkarsh has been taken to minimize the inconvenience. After all, it's a daunting task. Imagine two buildings taller than the Qutub Minar being brought down. So this is definitely a very, very challenging task. Preeti, what about you? Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to ask you, has this thought crossed your mind? What if the building sways towards Emerald Court, the society? What if there is damage? I'm sure, this is a very basic fear. For instance, look at that visual, how close that tower is to, the Twin Tower is to the existing setup.
Yes, that's correct. I'm in the building that's closest to ground zero.
Oh, is it? How far is your house from this Twin Tower?
9 meters.
9 meters? Oh, okay.
Yes. I have seen this building, the illegal towers come up right in front of my eyes, because when I moved into this apartment in 2010, that was a green area. And suddenly there was a hectic construction activity happening. A foundation was dug and these towers started coming up. And I was in shock. That would be an understatement, because this was not part of the plan. It was not told to me by the broker when I bought this apartment that there are towers coming up. I was told it was a green area. And I just watched helplessly. My flat was plunged into darkness. No air, no light. We've been living like this for the past 12 years. Had it not been for the efforts of the RWA, hats off to them, I think we would have just continued to live on our miserable lives, shrouded in darkness. But I'm hopeful that the towers will come down safely and this waterfall is not going to turn into a tsunami.
Interesting. I mean, good that you have so much faith in this company which is undertaking this exercise. After all, they've taken 8 long months to carry out this process. But, Mayur and Utkarsh, one by one, if you could answer this question. Utkarshji, you go first. You see, when the feasibility was being done, that these towers will come down, what impact it will have on the nearby towers. And in that structural audit, it was found that the adjacent buildings, their pillars and towers are basically weak, and thus some amount of retrofitting has been done to make sure that they can sustain the any potential damage. So do you feel that this in itself was a huge challenge? Not just the proximity to these towers, but the fact that the towers that you are trying to save, not demolish, save, are essentially weak.
Okay, this is there from a long period of time. I mean, it's there. It's not that it has happened last month or last year. These towers are in the same condition for last 5 years. That's number one. Now, when we visualize the site at the inspection period, we per se saw that the 9-meter driveway is in real bad condition. And since the fall, anyways, we are taking further away from the 9-meter building, the debris will spill over onto that driveway, and that might give weight to that driveway. And since the driveway was connected to the towers, that Aster 2 as well as Aster 3, so we made sure that we remove that connection between the two twin towers and the Aster buildings and make a way. Anyways, they were damaged so badly that it was asking for a daunting repair or a maintenance for that part of the driveway. So we made sure at the beginning that and we put our foot down that this is the only place which we perceive needs to go before we do the demolition. Now, if you ask me on the condition of the other columns in the same towers, today also, if the work wouldn't have been done, I was still confident that there will nothing further damage would have caused to those columns which are now being retrofitted. However, being retrofitted, it's almost adding more safety to those structures. But even without retrofitting it, we were still okay to take on with the blast because we see that the vibrations which we are going to induce by this blast will not going to impact the current scenario of the building. And however, since we jointly took a call that let's strengthen this, RWA had requested, CBRI agreed to it, Supertech agreed to it finally, and then we've done this strengthening work. So overall, it is adding more safety. But however, if you ask me today also, I was fine if even that strengthening work wouldn't have been taken place because we have taken utmost care for the vibrations to be dampened in terms of design, in terms of fall, which I told you will be taking 6 seconds for the structure to come down. So that's the first place where we've taken corrective actions on the vibrations which will generate. Then we have impact cushions on the ground, in the basement to capture this vibration. We have created trenches so that even the vibrations which are generated do not pass by. The further the distance, the lesser the vibrations. And we have one backup in our mind that we are sitting on seismic zone 4.
Correct.
So we are still.
And I was meaning to ask you this. This is a high seismic zone area, Noida.
And I came to know today, I mean, in 2020, Noida as a city had 5 earthquakes, tremors in 1 month, one single month. There were 5 tremors felt and to the tune of Richter scale 5. So if these buildings have taken that Richter scale, I'm sorry, but my vibrations will be almost 1/10 of what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
we are very confident. I could assure all the residents. In fact, I've been talking to Mr. Tevatia for long periods, and we still assure you that please be rest assured that your structures are not going to have any major damages except those cosmetics damages, what we call them, and few glasses going for a toss, which we are already prepared to get it replaced immediately.
You know, I think one of the things that was mentioned, Mr. Mayur, was how in order to bring down the variables as far as the efficiency of this demolition was to remove each and every extra brick from these existing buildings. Would you like to tell our viewers about how this was done and why it was done? Why did you have to bring down the walls so that there is just that bare bone structure to be demolished?
Basically, the internal and external brickworks we have demolished just because to reduce the load of the building. Because whenever the implosion took place, that 15,000 m cubes of brickwork, which may be the weight of approximately 30 to 40,000 additional metric tons of debris, that we want to avoid to fall on ground, to minimize the vibration, to reduce the load of the building, and that took us approximately 2.5 months to break out all the internal and external brickworks, and simultaneously to bring down on the ground and to prepare the impact cushion bumps in the basement.
Are you nervous, Mr. Mayur?
No, not at all. I'm confident.
Are there any variables that you would want to share with us? Any variables? I remember an interview where you said, we'll have to see the wind speed and all.
Yeah, wind speed, that is for the dust cloud, and simultaneously for the ignition point, because on that day, from which location we are going to ignite the ignite the implosion, that always should be opposite to the wind direction. Otherwise, where we are standing and the direction of wind is there, the dust will come on our 6 people only.
There's no other logic behind wind speed, Sanket.
Okay.
The clear logic is how fast the dust would flow and in which direction it would flow.
And what are you expecting? For instance, if say the wind speed is 10 kilometers per hour. So what does that mean? How far does the dust fly?
No, that's really difficult. That science no one has been able to study.
Okay.
On the quantum of dust it will generate and how fast it will go.
Okay.
We only know
I'm sorry, I'm just very curious. That's why I asked you this question.
That's fine. Perfectly fine. These are questions we are answering every day.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new to us.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you just one more small thing.
Yeah.
Whenever we remove this brickworks, blockworks, we have to do all those things which would restrict the fall of the structure.
Correct.
Now, when I say this, these are the bricks and blocks which can restrict the slabs sitting on each other. It will restrict the slabs to sit on each other.
Correct.
Then these bricks can fly off. I don't have any control of these bricks going anywhere.
Yeah, like
fall.
a splinter.
Correct.
Yes, exactly.
Correct. So that is the second reason. So whatever restricts the fall of the structure needs to be removed, needs to be prepared, basically.
Sure.
So when we took 6 months, that was the basic reason why we removed
I can
this.
understand. As I
There are
said,
lots of
daunting
clear
task.
Yes, very much.
We'll all wait for Sunday, but thank you so much for joining us and reassuring the residents as well as everyone who's very, very keenly watching this very complex demolition that is going to take place in Noida. Thank you very much for joining us. Short break at this moment on the program. News continues on the other side. Stay with us.